I want to start my talk by saying that this isn't about technology. It's not even really about ideas. I'll get into that in a minute. But what it's really about is we're seeing the largest shift in power in world history, in my view. And this is a shift from the top to the bottom. Power, it's not just information, but power is actually being moved by this technology. And the best way to think about this is they continue to tell us that we're in the information age. We are not in the information age. If information and knowledge of information is power, and if we're in the supposed information age because the internet and technology is putting more information in everybody's hands, then it can't be information. If information is power and we're putting more information in everybody's hands, then by its very nature, the internet is distributing power, not information, not just information. And the first sign of this was Napster, right? The top-down recording industry in the United States, with its hands over its ears saying, no, 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 we're not going to change. No, you have to continue to buy the entire album that sucks to get the one song that you really like. And people using the internet, millions of them, said, no, we're going to change the way music is distributed. We're not going to listen to you top-down guys are not going to make the decision for us anymore. We're going to force you to change the way music is being distributed. And the recording industry, the top-down recording industry, was changed by a bottom-up movement of citizens around the world. And today, music, whether the recording industry likes it or not, they don't like it, the way it's being distributed has been changed forever, and not the way the recording industry would have wanted it to be changed. So when you look at how change is occurring and how power is now being moved to the bottom, then what you start to see, particularly in the States, you start to see havoc being wreaked on the recording industry. You see the Dean campaign rise from the bottom up to try to tear down a political system that isn't working for the American people. You see Dan Rather, the anchor of CBS News, being forced to resign by a blogger who can report that the information in the CBS 60 Minutes expose on George Bush was wrong. It was made on forged documents, and the very top of the network and all his producers are fired or nicely allowed to resign, all by a person on the internet by the nickname or the screen name of Buckhead. Takes him down. So you're seeing a real shift in power because of these technologies. And the reason is the other mediums, and we've gone through this shift before. We've shifted from radio to television, for instance. There were in the Nixon-Kennedy campaign that Leonard talked about a little bit in his excellent presentation. Most people who listened to those debates on the radio thought Richard Nixon had won. Most of the people who watched the debates were positive that John F. Kennedy had won those debates. And so you saw a shift in power, and TV starts to ascend. We're in a similar period now where we're shifting from broadcast one-way medium to the internet's way for us to connect medium, and that's going to have the same kind of massive change. Back when Nixon was elected, or when Kennedy was elected, and television was only 3 channels, black and white, no one would have predicted that we'd have satellites that send TV to hundreds of channels, that we can on demand order movies, and that if we want to, we can record them to a hard drive and save them for later on. I mean, no one would have predicted those changes. No one would have predicted that politics in most countries either came down to how do you get enough money to buy a lot of ads, television ads on the TV, or how do you trick the media to think you're creating news to be put on TV. One of the two mechanisms, one of those two mechanisms exists in just about every democracy. So that's where television took us. We're now at the very infant stages of this new democratic bottom-up medium. And you are the pioneers in many ways of the future and how that power is going to continue to progress and grow. And I would liken it in very big terms to think about, because we're not now just doing a shift in mediums, we really are doing a shift in power. And there's only one real example of this in history, of what I'm talking about, and that's the printing press. It's not radio or television. The printing press was exactly what the shift that we're seeing. You had a bunch of elites, rich and powerful. They were able to hire scribes who would write for them their own handwritten version of the Bible or any important book or any important document. Prior to the printing press, that's the only people who had the written word were the rich, powerful kings, and you know, some academics, but basically rich enough to have somebody handwrite the book for them. All of a sudden, the printing press happens. And the cost to barrier to entry is one person can print a whole lot of Bibles or a whole bunch of pamphlets and very cheaply distribute them, not just to the rich anymore, but to the people. And that starts a massive change in society and the structure of things and in how we move forward. This is the beginning stages of the same thing, except it's not a one-way printing press, it's a multi-way, two-way, all of us can talk to each other printing press. So if you look at how the first revolution with the printing press changed everything, this new internet blogosphere, connectivity, MySpace, I mean, all of these tools combined are going to be an even bigger disruption to the top. The top of any party, of any corporation, of any government is not going to like what's coming. So they're going to resist it to a large degree. Even when they want to embrace it, they won't quite know how to embrace it. They'll still talk, many people at the top will talk in sort of brochure talk instead of humanity, putting a human face on their corporation, their party, their government, and to start to actually interact with people.